This is the Berlin Wall. This wall symbolized the divided world. In 1989 it came crashing down. This sparked a dream of a world with open borders. A dream that quickly turned into a nightmare. 35 years ago, the world had less than 12 walls. It now has more than 70. You've heard of an orange American that loves walls, but most walls are actually found in Asia. You know European fences that close the continent to foreigners. But migration is just a part of the story. In this video, I want to show you how we got addicted to walls. I first saw this map in a historical atlas. It shows that the Berlin Wall coming down actually was an exception. Since then, we have been building a lot of walls. I wanted to see if there were historical trends that explain why we are now building more walls than ever before. But first, what is a wall? In history, you have some great examples, like the Wall of China, a marvel of engineering built to stand for the ages. Others are less impressive. Walls show what you think is yours, or they try to keep others out. But what should we count as a wall? Sometimes it's obvious. A wall separates the two Koreas, but sometimes not. Australia guards its border with armed forces, and a highly controversial detention system that violates human rights. Is this a wall? In this video, walls will be physical barriers that are placed on borders and can't be easily moved. That does mean that some of these walls are actually fences. With mapping these walls, I found out how the fastest growing group of walls is actually invisible.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful girl that was raised in a tiny town in Yugoslavia. Growing up, her dreams were bigger than her modest surroundings. So she used her looks to become a famous model and migrated to the land where dreams become reality. There, she met a handsome prince, and together they had a love child. But what if this child wanted to know more about his mother's family? Her hometown was far away in some dirty migrant country. But luckily, he doesn't have to go there. He can use MyHeritage. MyHeritage is the leading global service for family history research and DNA testing. With MyHeritage, it's very easy to build your own family history tree.
I started using MyHeritage some time ago, so I have my tree all set up. But if you just fill out the details on your siblings, your parents, your grandparents, MyHeritage will be sure to find them in a heartbeat. Now, because I've used it some time, MyHeritage has actually found a lot of pictures of my family. Like, just look at these smooth stashes and fits from way back. It's kind of amazing. When there's a match, I can just press this button to review the match, find documents on this person, and I can just add it to my tree. Simple as that. And look, the best thing is, with this function, instant discovery, I can add 40 people to my tree in just one click. And there's a big chance you'll find more information on your ancestors, because they have more than 90 billion historical documents. So Baron, if you want to know more about your mother's side of the family, you can sign up for a 14-day free trial and enjoy all the amazing features MyHeritage has to offer.
And don't worry, you don't have to be related to Trump to start your 14-day free MyHeritage trial at the link below. As empires came down, walls went up. In 1945, the newly founded United Nations had 51 member states. In 2024, we have 193. A big reason we are building so many walls is that we have just a lot more nations than we used to. More nations means more borders. More borders means more potential to disagree over the border. The end of colonialism and the end of the Cold War have led to a lot of border issues. And some nations have more issues than others. For a long time, the Indian subcontinent was ruled by the British Empire. When the British left in 1947, they hastily divided it into India and Pakistan. That was itself later divided into an East and West. This division resulted in a battle over borders. India built a lot of walls. Today it has around 15,000 kilometers of borders. It has walled 45% of these. This makes it the country with the longest stretch of walls.
So India and Pakistan can't agree on their borders. Although, here it's actually clear. India is so proud of it, they make sure you can see it from space. But here it goes wrong. These dotted lines show how Google is insecure about where to put the border. But India, they feel very secure. They have built 800 kilometers of garden furniture to mark their border. On the other side of the country, they're walling the entire border of Bangladesh. They say it's because of terrorism and smuggling activities, but that's probably just part of the story. Bangladesh is one of the most densely populated countries in the world, or the first, if we're counting real countries. Some estimate that in 2050, up to 80 million people from Bangladesh will have to migrate. And India is making sure they don't go there.
The second event that led to more walls is the end of the Cold War. Since the end of the Cold War, more than 26,000 kilometers of new borders have been created. I know that doesn't give you much info, but that's more than halfway around the equator. The fall of the Berlin Wall was just the start of a great unraveling. The Iron Curtain was lifted. The Soviet Union and its system of alliances came crashing down. Out of the Soviet Union, 15 states emerged. And these former friends don't always get along. In Central Asia, almost every state has been walling its borders. According to them, to stop migration and the smuggling of drugs. Independence movements and Russian aggression led to walls in Georgia. And in Europe, states that were once part of the communist sphere see history a bit different than Putin.
If you don't mind, I will take only 30 seconds or 1 minute to give you a short reference to history for giving you a little historical background.
Please.
The Baltic states, Poland and Ukraine have all been walling themselves off from the former empire.
And so we see that with the end of empires, we just get a lot more countries and a lot more borders. And all these new nations, they want to stake their claim to their territory.
For some states, these modern conflicts have led to being completely surrounded by walls. This is the Middle East. It might not surprise you that Israel has the highest number of walls on its borders. Some walls have been built after wars with neighboring states. Closer to home, the walls are erected citing security concerns. According to Israel, the wall around the West Bank is to stop suicide bombings and attacks from terrorists. The International Court of Justice has deemed this wall illegal. 85% of it is built on land that belongs to Palestine. I went there some years ago, and it was wild seeing these huge walls. It felt like something from a dystopian film, but it was right in front of me. What this impressive architecture doesn't show is just 65% of it has been finished, and that at many places it's just a fence. Before the 7 October attacks, Palestinians cut the barbed wire to illegally work in Israel. Often, border guards didn't really interfere. It shows how these walls are not always what they seem.
Israel also built a wall around Gaza. Israeli companies used to sell their services in Europe and the world based on this feat. They said that anybody can give you a very nice PowerPoint, but few can show you such a complex project as Gaza that is constantly battle tested. In practice, this wall turned out to be less effective. The border was easily destroyed by the Hamas attacks against Israeli civilians on October 7th.
Israel has walled itself in, but Syria has been walled in by its neighbors.
The civil war and the rise of ISIS are reasons that Syria's neighbors very much wanted to keep all that away from their doorstep. Israel, Jordan, Turkey and Iraq all erected walls. Only Lebanon didn't.
Civil war in Syria led to migration to Europe. Walls would come up across the continent. But long before that, the old dream of a world without walls had been challenged.
So when the Berlin Wall came down, walls were just not cool for some time. The EU was busy taking down its internal borders. They were promising travel without passports. And then 2001 happened. Suddenly foreigners were seen as not so nice. Muslims in the Western world were being equated with terrorists. State surveillance was ramped up. This is Bush signing the Patriot Act. Who knew that spying on all your citizens was so much fun? Borders became thicker. Airport security was ramped up to protect people from real and imaginary threats. So in times of crisis, closing down your borders was hot again. Spain was the first country in the EU to build walls to keep migrants out. Then no one really thought that would catch on. But in 2015 things changed. Migrants headed through Greece and the Balkans. Borders were erected all over Europe.
Belarus weaponized migration by shipping migrants to the Polish border. Because of this migration and Russian aggression, the last 10 years, the total length of border fences in the EU rose from 315 to 2163 kilometers. Another 245 kilometers will go up this year. In the US, Trump has completely claimed border defense as a political issue. But constructing walls to stop migration began under Clinton in the 90s. It has been continued by every president since. Trump actually built just 140 kilometers of new wall. Biden stopped that construction when he came into office, but since then he has started to build again, and he invested in a smart wall. It has these autonomous towers with night vision and radar. Don't you love it when tech comes to the rescue? The fact that every president has been developing the wall shows the success of what has been called the border industrial complex. The border security industry has been lobbying very hard to make politicians think that migration is something you can fix with more gear. Top security companies spend more than $5 million on the 2020 Biden campaign. And they're making a lot of fucking money. It's because building a fence is just not good enough. You need virtual wars, monitoring and sniper cameras, land raiders and surveillance, telecommunication technology, carbon dioxide identification, immigration databases. It's one reason why this stretch of wall that is not even 70 kilometers long cost $1.28 billion to build. This is more money than the United States spends on maintaining all of its nature parks. The issue with these walls is that they are sold as a way to stop migration. For Westerners that feel their way of life threatened by migration, this might seem like a good solution. But does it actually stop it? In Europe, walls definitely slow people down, but migrants haven't stopped coming. The spokesperson of Frontex, this is the agency that guards European borders, said any kind of physical obstacle in one area just shifts the movement to other areas, like the more dangerous Mediterranean route. It gets people in contact with criminals. It led to more than 20,000 deaths since 2016. If we look at the figures for 2022, when it comes to irregular migration, 300,000 people got caught crossing the border. But 360,000 came here on a visa and just never left. And of course you can't count the people that didn't get caught. In the United States, the measures don't seem to have stopped migrants trying either. Now, it could very well be that these numbers could be higher without a wall. But regardless of where you stand in migration, walls don't address the root causes of it. It's like treating depression with pills without advising therapy. And because these walls are not working, politicians are now resorting to building invisible walls. They have been making deals with Egypt and Tunisia to keep migrants away. And the US is selling gear and money to make Central America a virtual border zone.
These invisible walls might move the burden to other countries. The question still remains if this is going to make a difference.
Walls are as old as the world. As long as people have built them, people have also tried to get around them. You might say that the Berlin Wall was a very successful example of keeping people inside. It just needed a project that cost billions. It employed tens of thousands of border guards. And it had a police state that spied on every citizen. But that wasn't enough. It also worked because life in East Germany wasn't as bad as you think. After a rough start, people had enough to eat. Free childcare, free healthcare, free education, a low cost of living, and no war. These are things that are definitely not available in the countries where people are fleeing from. I definitely don't have all the answers. But should we be spending billions of dollars on walls that fight only the symptoms of migration? Especially when many experts say we need migration to deal with the West's aging population? Or should we invest in ways to help people in their country of origin? Maybe allowing them to work legally for a time in the West? These are hard questions that a video on YouTube won't answer. But a YouTube video can tell you how the Berlin Wall worked. It's a fascinating story that is the topic of my friend Neo's new video. I wrote a script for the video and I'm very hyped about how it turned out. It will be out in about a week or so go check it out if you want to know more about how the Berlin Wall worked.